Eternal Soldier here, and I am back to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 4, and my thoughts on this episode. I'm using a new camera today because my old one is kind of playing up on me. So, if it does sound a little strange, it's because I'm using a new camera. I hope the other camera will be fixed by next week, but again, I just want to get this review out now and not have to wait 2 days, which I was told. So, about the episode, I think the episode's okay. I don't think it's great. I think there are problems, but it's not woke, which is a massive plus, especially when you're dealing with Kurtzman Trek. So, take that as you want, but again, for me, if it's not woke, that is a massive plus. I think the episode was okay. I do think the problem with this episode and this show, for me, has to be Pike. Pike is... he's just not a captain. He doesn't feel like a captain. He doesn't act like a captain. He tries to act like everybody's friend and mentor. Now, I get it. Some captains in Star Trek did do the whole mentor thing, but the majority of these captains felt like, authority figures. They never felt like a friend. They always felt like, yes, I'm your friend, but I'm also your boss. With Pike, it just feels like I'm your friend and that's it. And he doesn't seem confident when he's in charge of the Enterprise. When you saw number 1 take control of the Enterprise, she was in control, she dealt with the situations, and it always felt like she was in charge. With Pike, it just doesn't seem like that, and that is unfortunate. And I think it's going to be a continuous problem in this show, unfortunately. For the other cast in the show, again, it's the same old stuff with them. Uhura does some things, Hammers does some things, and the Doctor and the nurse help each other. Again, the nurse is the one they choose to focus on more, which is annoying, but, it's better to have the Doctor in the episode than have him just missing for no reason. So it's good they've kept him in this episode, but it did really feel like he was sidelined by the nurse. Lana, was the main focus of this episode, and I don't think it was that bad that they did that. The problem for me is why she's the centre of this episode, which again I'll go into in spoilers. I think overall the episode wasn't that long. It didn't feel long at points. It did feel fast. I didn't get bored. I did get annoyed at some parts, but again, walking away from a Star Trek episode these days and not being angry, that's a plus to me. And I hope we can at least continue to get episodes like this, better ones that just focus on the story and not on the woke shit. So I want to go into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with Pike talking about Remembrance Day in Starfleet, which I actually liked. I actually like the fact that there is this thing in Star Trek, the thing in the Federation where they do celebrate the people who have died to keep them safe and keep them having their freedom. Because we do that in this world, we do it in the UK, Remembrance Sunday, the Poppy, and I really did appreciate that in this episode. So they're celebrating Remembrance and everybody's walking around doing a normal thing. Lana is, she's not really happy about this because she doesn't like to remember the people who have died because she's lost family, and that's makes her depressed to remember them. So you can understand why she kind of doesn't like the holiday. But we then go on to what the Enterprise is doing, and the Enterprise is heading off to the outskirts of the Federation to help a colony who has lost a generator. Well, the generator is breaking down, so the Enterprise is giving them a new one, and they're on course to hand it over to them. When they get there, Pike the Enterprise scans the planet, and they see that there's been an attack on it. They beam down an away team led by number 1 and Lana. When they get there, they see that the place has been devastated by some enemy, and there's a lot of blood on the floor for some reason. I kind of think Star Trek needs to get away from the whole overdose on blood and gore. That's never what Star Trek's ever been about. It's kind of been about on science and entertaining, not blood and guts. So I think that needs to go. So Lana pretty much tells Pike to try to scan the area. He does. They find a ship. The ship is the civilians from the colony, and they are requesting help because their ship's kind of malfunctioning and they barely have any life support to support the people on the ship. So Pike orders the Enterprise to beam them aboard, but they can't beam them aboard because of some chemical on the ship that's blocking the transporters. So Pike orders the ships to connect to each other by that pipe they have on the side, and they then evacuate the ship. When they do that, Lana and Number One beam back up to the Enterprise. When Lana goes through the crowd, she notices a little girl running from her mother, and the little girl screaming about monsters. And when Lana talks to her about the monsters, the girl starts sounding out some sound that the creature's made, and Lana recognizes the sound and tells Pike to raise the shields on the Enterprise because she knows there's an attack coming. The Enterprise then scans and, well, realizes that they're under attack by a mysterious ship, but they can't raise their shields because they are still connected to their civilian ship, and that's blocking their ability to raise their shields. So the Gorn attacks the Enterprise and manages to knock out the hyperdrive and some of the weapons in their attack. So it's a pretty successful attack by the Gorn, because that's the enemy that's attacking them. The Gorn are now the focus of this show. And I think the reason the Gorn are now the focus of this show is because Kurtzman has fucked up the Klingons. Because, listen, I think Kurtzman wanted to use the Klingons in this series, but he wanted to use his Klingons, and I think CBS said no. Or he knows he can't use the Klingons anymore because he's fucked them up so badly that they're just seen as a joke now. Because again, that is what Kurtzman has done to the Klingons. He has fucked them right up. And it's just so bad. So the reason we have to deal with the Gorn right now, which is way too early for the Federation to be dealing with the Gorn, because again, Kirk's supposed to be the first one to meet the Gorn, not Pike. And again, this is canon breaking. So Kurtzman still doesn't give a shit about canon, unfortunately. But what do you expect from that twat? So yes, the reason we're dealing with the Gorn is because he fucked up the Klingons. So they need a new main bad guy for this show. So it's going to be the Gorn. And listen, I would respect this decision if, I don't know, I believe they're going to actually put serious thought into it and explain how the fact Kirk doesn't know what the Gorn are and all of that stuff. But I just doubt that they're going to explain all that. So I think that's going to be something they're going to have to deal with in the future. And I just don't think they are going to be able to deal with it. So the Enterprise then has to, Pike wants to run away and try to get main power to the weapons and fight back in some way. But Lana tells him, no, you can't do that. You need to run. They're hunting us. We need to find somewhere to hide and fix our systems and make it a fair fight between the Gorn and the Enterprise. So Pike agrees because he asks Spock to find a hiding place for them. And Spock finds a gassed giant that's got a wormhole next to it. He says they should hide there, where their systems will go down, but so will the Gorn. So they head off and try to hide there away from the Gorn. When they get there, they realise they've lost more systems than they realised. They have lost their phasers and their shields, and the warp drive is definitely out. And they only have one torpedo for the Gorn, which is pretty, and the fact that this torpedo cannot be fired because the tracking system is also damaged on it because of the gas giant they're in. So Lana says that they need to just wait for the Gorn because they'll come and try to kill them in a bit, and that's what they do. Most of this episode is pretty much just them running from the Gorn, and there is a part of this episode where you see Uhura and Hammers, because Hammers was injured in the shuttle bay. No, not the shuttle bay. In the luggage bay. I've completely forgot what it's called. But a bay of the ship. And Hammers has been hurt. His hands have been pretty much fucked up. And Uhura has to help him try to fix the systems in his area so they can survive and help the Enterprise. But Hammers can't do it, so Hammers tries to fix the ship, well, fix the systems himself, but he can't. So Uhura volunteers to be his hands, and all he has to be is her eyes, basically. So he agrees. Uhura helps him fix some systems. Most of this episode is just Uhura fixing systems and Hammers helping them. Well, that's most of what their scenes are, which is pretty funny. But I thought it was an alright scene between them. I mean, again, these writers aren't great at doing two stories at the same time, but I think this one was not that bad, if I'm being honest. So back with the main plot of the episode. So the Enterprise is still hiding from the Gorn. Unfortunately for the Enterprise, they only have one weapon left, which is the Torpedo. But fortunately for the Enterprise, the Gorn can't see them because their systems have been disabled by the gas giant they're in. So they can't see the Enterprise, and that's an advantage for Pike. So Pike sees that the Gorn are coming closer to them. He orders the helmswoman to fly behind the Gorn ship and prepare to fire the weapon that they have, which is just to drop the torpedo and just hope it falls on the Gorn ship. I do think there's a problem with that. I don't think you could just drop something into space and just hope it hits the target. I kind of wish there was a lot more, I don't know, they put a thruster on it or made it into like a landmine type sort of thing. But whatever they did do, it worked because it destroys the Gorn ship. When they destroy the Gorn ship, everybody celebrates and says, "Well done, we've won. Now we can head home." Unfortunately, this was a trap. The Gorn sacrificed an entire crew because they have two other ships. They have one small ship and one massive Gorn ship. And so, yes, the Enterprise has to now decide what to do. Do they leave the gas giant and call for help, or do they go deeper into the gas giant near the wormhole and might get sucked in by the wormhole and destroyed? So Pike decides to go deeper into the gas giant near the wormhole because it's a safer bet to go that way and to hope that the Gorn mess up. And Spark tries to make this sort of joke or something. It wasn't that funny, but again, Spark in this show is well, he doesn't act like Spark. I mean, he tries. The actor is trying. I can see he's trying, but yeah, it's just not that good of an act. It's not that good of an acting. It's again, it is a struggle to watch him and to see the character development they're trying to do with Spark. Again, we know where he's going. He's going to the original series, right? So all this character development you're doing for Spark, you're just going to get rid of as soon as Kirk comes and takes command of the Enterprise. I mean, there is just a lot of problems with this and what they're trying to do with Spark. And again, I just wish they'd either left Spark out of the show or just keep Spark like himself. Don't try to change him. Don't try to make him more human, because it's just not going to work out. So Pike decides to take the Enterprise deeper into the gas giant, trying to get away from the Gorn. Whilst this is happening, number one, she was injured in the attack from the Gorn, but because she's enhanced, she can kind of deal with it better than other people. But she goes to the med bay to get some help. She's been cut seriously. Her body apparently can't fix it on her own, so she gets help from the doctor and the nurse. But unfortunately, they are running out of a lot of equipment because most of it was blown up in the attack, and they can't again, I think they have mentioned replicators, which is dumb because they shouldn't have replicators yet, but they did mention it, and they said they can't make any more equipment for the med bay, and so they have to ration, so they have to do triage, which is something you have to do in hospitals. So they have to do a kind of, in their perspective, a medieval operation, which is pretty much to sew up number one up. And I thought they were going to get a doctor to do this, but apparently they have decided that Chapel should do this. And this is the problem with the show. Again, we have the Doctor who's supposed to be the head of the medbay. He's supposed to be the one who has all this knowledge in his head. But they've decided that Chapel's going to be the one doing all this emergency, amazing stuff. Like, why? Like, he's the Doctor. He should have been the one doing the sewing, not Chapel. So I do think the problem here is Chapel is taking too much limelight away from the Doctor here. And I think that's just going to weaken his character and make him a backseat Doctor, which it's just dumb. It really is. Last week's episode, he was at least at the centre. He was doing the work. This episode, again, he gets pushed to the side and Nurse Chapel gets put in front. It's very stupid for this show to do that. So Lana has a plan to try to deal with the Gorn, which is she wants to take a shuttle out and try to distract the Gorn from the Enterprise. And Spock goes with her because he can kind of see that she needs help. So they go out there, they get in a shuttle, and she tries to remember her time with the Gorn. She mentions the fact her family were kidnapped. She mentions the fact that they were used as food, basically, for the hatchlings. But we've never known what happened there and why she has all this trauma from it. And it turns out, because they do a mind meld, because again, that is becoming a serious issue for the show. It's becoming that the fix all. You know, all Spock has to do is do a mind meld and everything's sorted out, which is going to become pretty tiresome if they keep doing this. I don't want them to keep doing this. I kind of want them to try to sort things out on their own, not just rely on the Vulcans all the time. But they do a mind meld, and it turns out Lana had a brother, and the brother helped her escape the Gorn by giving her a paper of some kind. And in this paper, it has some sort of codes in it. And what Lana has been suppressing is the fact that the brother sacrificed himself by letting the Gorn eat him and letting her escape. And that's what she's so depressed about. That's what she's been hiding away from. The fact her brother gave up his life for her, and she has just not been able to accept that. She hates the fact that's happened to her, and I kind of liked that. Again, at least, and I'm going to say this, it's better than the fucking story we had from Uhura, which was my family crashed. And, you know, again, didn't need to do that to Uhura. She could have just been from a good family, and her parents are proud of her. You didn't need to say her whole family got killed in a fucking crash. I mean, it's completely dumb. So what the codes that Lana's brother gave to her were communication codes. And Lana then uses these communication codes to contact the Gorn's main ship and to tell the main ship that the second Gorn ship has been taken over by humans. So the Gorn, seeing that as a threat, destroy the smallest ship to protect their species for some reason. And it works when they have one less Gorn ship to deal with. So they get back to the Enterprise, they tell Pike they've managed to take out one of the ships, and then Pike has an idea of, let's go right near the wormhole, and we're going to make the Gorn think that they've won and that we're going to pretend like we've been blown up, which is basically what the plan was. So they race to the black hole. They get chased by the Gorn's main ship. They then get near to the wormhole, but Pike has to tell Hammers and Uhura to get ready to get somewhere safe and to strap in, because they're going to have to release everything from the cargo bay to make it look like the Enterprise blew up. So they Uhura and Hammers strap in, get ready for the bay to open, and then the Enterprise races to the wormhole. They release the cargo, they open the cargo bay doors, everything gets thrown out, and then a massive explosion happens, and the Gorn think the Enterprise has been blown up. Uhura and Hammers survive, and Hammers gets taken to sickbay to fix his hands. And then Pike pretty much says to Alana, "Thank you for helping me," blah 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 blah. And number one managed to get the treatment she needed for the scars, and and the episode ends with pretty much Pike saying that yes, the Gorn are now a bad guy that we're going to have to deal with, because Lana says that they're, edging closer and closer to the Federation. They need a bigger hunting ground for their food, and they're going to have to deal with them more often. And Pike says, "We'll deal with them when we have to." And that's how the episode ends. Yeah. I am sorry this review is kind of a bit weird today. Again, I've been trying to use my other camera. I'm not on form today because I'm a bit angry at that damn phone. I've got to get prepared now. So, apologies. Hopefully next week it will be fixed, and I won't have to deal with this next week. I'll just get the review out. And I'm sorry if the review is a bit late. But other than that, the episode was fine. I think, the problems are just Pike, and I need a little bit more story from them. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a fight between the Gorn and the Enterprise. But we got what we got. I'm hoping it improves. I think Lana is kind of becoming a better character. I do wish they didn't connect her to Khan. I think that's dumb. But what are you going to do? But yeah, hopefully next week's episode is better. If you like, and that's the end of my review. If you like the review, give it a like. If you dislike the review, give it a dislike, and do comment below if you want, and think about subscribing if you like my content. Hail the Phantom Menace, long live CG, fuck SJWs. Bye.